Hi, I'm Amy Goodman. You're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Amy, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, Syrian forces seize rebel neighborhood as Red Cross enters Homs. And UN Security Council condemns humanitarian situation in Syria. And GOP candidates campaign ahead of Super Tuesday primaries. And Obama renews call on Congress to end oil subsidies. And protester challenges Obama over possible military action against Iran. And Afghans killed 2 U.S. soldiers in second attack this week. And foreign NGO workers leave Egypt, charges remain. And Bahrain blocks international human rights monitors. And blogger Andrew Breitbart dies at 43 mysteriously. Mastermind security chief gets 3 years in prison. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. Unlike some other news media, anyone can use our information and our news any way you want. And guess what? It's free. You do not have to subscribe to us for your daily news. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. Today's first world news story, Syrian forces have reportedly seized control of the rebel stronghold during a ground invasion in the city of Homs. Spokesman for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said they have received unconfirmed reports of a series of executions involving 17 people in the neighborhood of Baba Amir after the Syrian army took over. The Syrian government now has granted permission for aid groups to travel to the area, which had been isolated during the month-long siege. International Committee of the Red Cross and Syrian Red Crescent are expected to arrive in Baba Amir bearing food and medical supplies. They also plan to evacuate some of the wounded in the attacks. Red Cross spokesperson announced the group's efforts to reach Homs, said this morning a joint team from the ICRC and the Syrian Arab Red Crescent left Damascus heading towards Homs. The convoys included uses 7 truckloads of assistance, mainly food, but other items as well. Snow sadly slowed down the convoy, but however, the Homs, we're inside the Homs area. The Homs branch, which we hope to get into Baba Amir as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the French journalist Edith Bouvier and William Daniels have escaped from Homs to Lebanon with the aid of Syrian rebels. Bouvier was wounded in an attack late last month and killed 2 other journalists. France and Britain have announced plans to close their embassies in Syria following the United States. The Assad regime continues to come under criticism. United Nations on Thursday, the UN Human Rights Council passed a measure condemning Syria for widespread and systematic violations of human rights. The Security Council, meanwhile, has unanimously passed a measure expressing deep disappointment over Syria's refusal to admit a UN humanitarian aid. Chief Valerie Amos said, deploring the rapid deteriorating humanitarian situation on the ground, the measure passed with the support of Russia and China has previously vetoed a resolution critical of Assad's regime. Acting UN Security Council President Mark Grant of Britain read out the Council statement and said the members of the Security Council deplore the rapid deteriorating humanitarian situation, in particular the growing number of affected civilians, lack of safe access to adequate medical services, and food shortages, particularly in the areas affected by the fighting and violence, such as Homs and many other places over there. Doesn't seem like they're going to do much, but they keep saying they're going to do something. Republican presidential candidates are heading into a busy weekend of campaigning ahead of next week's crucial Super Tuesday primaries. The 10 states holding votes on Tuesday are worth 437 delegates. On Thursday, Rick Santorum took aim at Mitt Romney for negative campaigning, while Newt Gingrich said he was the best candidate to defeat what he called President Obama's socialistic, bureaucratic, secular agenda. Rick Santorum said that's how one candidate has been able to win the race, not by painting a positive agenda, but by seriously destroying with negative ads their opponents. What's a winning formula is having a better ideas, motivating the base of the Republican Party, being authentic. Newt Gingrich said, "We have two nice people running who are not visionaries. We have a president who has the wrong vision, and so we need to match our positive vision of an American future with this negative vision of socialistic, bureaucratic, secular future." President Obama, meanwhile, paid a visit to New Hampshire, where he renewed his call for repeal of federal subsidies to big oil, and said, "Does anyone really think Congress should give them another $4 billion this year? Of course not. It's outrageous. It's inexcusable. And I'm asking Congress to eliminate this oil industry giveaway right away. I want them to vote on this in the next few weeks. Let's put every single member of Congress on record. You can stand with the oil companies, or you can stand up for American people. You can keep subsidizing a fossil fuel that has been getting taxpayer dollars for a century, or you can place your bets on clean energy future." Later in the day, President Obama spoke at a New York City fundraiser where he was interrupted by protesters speaking out against possible military action against Iran. President Obama said, "None of this change, no war on Iran," the protester said. The president said, "Nobody has announced a war, young lady, so we are appreciating your sentiment. You're jumping the gun a little bit there. None of this change has been easy." The NATO occupation forces of Afghanistan has confirmed that 2 U.S. soldiers were killed on Thursday when 2 Afghan shooters, one of them a soldier, opened fire at a southern base. It was at least the second attack in less than a week by an Afghan service member on U.S. forces, an ongoing uproar over the burning copies of the Quran by the U.S. soldiers. NATO spokesperson Karsten Jacobson announced the attack and said what happened this morning is a base in southern Afghanistan at a forward operating base. 2 individuals, one Afghan National Army soldier and a man in civilian clothes, opened fire indiscriminately on members of that base. A number of foreign NGO workers have left Egypt following the lifting of a travel ban by the military government. Egypt had barred 43 NGO workers, including 16 U.S. citizens, to leave on allegations of illegally using foreign funds to stir up opposition to the Egyptian military government. The issue strained relations with the United States, which has threatened to withhold billions in aid. Workers were allowed to leave, providing they post bail, but none of the charges have been dropped. In Washington, State Department spokesperson Victoria Nuland said the United States remains concerned about the charges, said the departure of our people doesn't resolve the legal case and the larger issue concerning the NGOs. We're mainly deeply concerned about the prosecution of NGOs in Egypt and ultimate outcome of the legal process, and we will keep working with the Egyptian government on these issues. The U.S.-backed monarchy in Bahrain continues to block international monitors from accessing human rights conditions in the crackdown on opposition protests. On Thursday, the United Nations top investigator into torture said Bahrain has asked him to delay a trip scheduled for this month into July. Bahrain says it wants the investigator, Juan Mendez, to visit after it has completed a set of reforms put forward by an international panel last year. Bahrain has also tightened visa restrictions on human rights groups, limiting them to 5 days visits to Bahrain, requiring them to obtain a Bahraini sponsor. In response, Amnesty International says it has no choice but to cancel its trip. The move follows Bahrain's recent deportation of a number of internationals who had sought to witness the repression of protests. The controversial conservative and activist Andrew Breitbart has died at the age of 43. Breitbart was known as the online attack against progressive and democratic targets, including his posting of an undercover video that fueled a campaign against anti-poverty groups, Acorn. His publishing of sexual explicit photos of former New York Representative Anthony Weiner led to Weiner's resignation. In 2010, he helped spur the firing of Department of Agriculture official Shirley Sherrod at posting an edited video falsely appearing that Sherrod refused something about a white farmer. But anyway, they killed him. Somebody did. Former security chief of Massey Energy and Big Branch Virginia, has been sentenced to 3 years prison for his role of covering up 2010 mining disaster that killed 29 workers. Stover was convicted for false statements as his first mine official to be sentenced and was suspected to be in a number of cases related to Upper Big Branch tragedy. And that's it for the world news today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. Jonah's an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Friday, 8 a.m. Extra patrols were requested in the area around Elizabeth Daniels Park, 100 block and Neal Street, due to alleged drug activities and sales. 10:55 a.m. several reports were made over the next 2 hours of people who were fighting, drunk, and harassing pedestrians and who appeared to be disturbed on Sutton Way, Main Street at Mill, on Freeman Lane and Sutton Way. And 1:39 p.m. a report of a domestic fight resulted in the arrest of a Grass Valley man who was booked into Nevada County Jail on suspicion of drunken and disorderly conduct. Bail was set at $1,500. 2:29 p.m. extra patrol along Horizon Circle was requested regarding a driver who regularly speeds through the area. Dark blue pickup and a black Toyota sedan were frequent offenders, the resident said. And 3:53 p.m. security guard found the remains of a homeless camp at Sierra College. Maintenance would dispose of the items which were moldy. 4:25 p.m. 2 youths were reported to having run away from a facility in West Main Street. Be on a lookout alert was issued. And 7:09 p.m. a report of a person locked inside a gate at Spring Hill Drive led to the arrest of an Edgewater, Florida man who was booked on an out-of-state warrant for allegedly being a felon fugitive who was being held without bail. And Saturday, 12:21 a.m., youth were reported playing Ding Dong Ditch on Horizon Circle. 1:49 a.m. an officer stopped a vehicle in Forest Glade Circle, which led to the arrest of a Penn Valley man. He was booked into jail on suspicion of having a controlled substance and forged notes, both felonies, and no proof of insurance, a misdemeanor. He was released on a $10,000 bail. 3:39 p.m. 2 homeless men were reported fighting on 100 block of Olympia Park Road. And 5:16 p.m. a woman said her mother texted her to say she was being beaten by her boyfriend. Police arrested a Grass Valley man, 100 block of South School Street, on a local warrant. He was booked on misdemeanor vandalism charge and was being held in lieu of a $5,000 bail. 8:14 p.m. on the 300 block of Richardson Street, an officer arrested a Nevada City man on a Nevada County warrant for misdemeanor failure to appear. He also wanted on a Placer County warrant. His bail was set at $5,000. And 10:06 p.m. after getting a tip, an officer arrested a Grass Valley man on 300 block of Mill Street on a county warrant for misdemeanor failure to appear. Bail was set at $5,000. And Sunday, 12:17 a.m., a caller reported a loud party on 600 block of South Auburn Street, second in a week. Police arrested a man on suspicion of resisting arrest and booked him into jail. And 1:52 a.m., police arrested a Grass Valley man on 200 block of Mill Street, 3 outstanding Placer County warrants for failure to appear in a DUI charge for the misdemeanor possession of having an instrument to inject or smoke controlled substance, and a misdemeanor traffic violation. Bail was set at $25,000. And 2:37 a.m., police arrested a woman at the corner of Main and Mel Street and arrested her on suspicion of being public drunkenness. She was booked into jail. At 4:41 a.m., a vehicle stop led to the arrest of a woman at Idaho-Maryland Road at Highway 20 and 49 on suspicion of driving under the influence. She was booked into jail and her vehicle was towed. In Nevada County Sheriff's Office Department on Friday, 8:53 a.m., a woman reported men were in her house. They had marijuana bagged for sale. They were refusing to let her into the house and she wanted them to leave. A deputy found it was a landlord-tenant issue. 9:42 a.m., a caller from the 10,000 block of Boulder Hill Drive reported a neighbor who shoots his weapon erratically. At 10:13 a.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Sierra Drive reported rough and ready woman was breaking windows on a vehicle. 2 gunshots were heard. Woman allegedly made threats to throw wood through windows. Woman was arrested and booked into suspicion of drunken and disorderly conduct. She was released on a $750 bail. At 2:11 p.m., a deputy booked a North San Juan man in 26,000 block of Sweetland Road on suspicion of felony parole violation. He was being held without bail. At 2:12 p.m., a deputy arrested a Grass Valley man on Lake of the Pines guard booth on Comby Road on suspicion of inflicting misdemeanor bodily injury on a spouse or cohabitant. The man was wanted in Placer County Warrant 2. He was booked into jail and was being held without bail. At 4:43 p.m., a woman from 13,000 block of Comby Road reported a man was violating a custody order by not giving her their children. She believed he was under the influence and was concerned for the safety of the children. Deputy arrested an Auburn man on suspicion of felony probation violation. He was being held without bail. And Saturday, 2:56 a.m., a youth had been drinking, was in a hospital emergency room after having been in a fight in Penn Valley. The youth was released to parents. And 5:47 a.m., a traffic stop in 10,000 block of Comby Road led to the arrest of an Auburn man on suspicion of violating probation. He was booked and held in lieu of a $35,000 bail. At 10:10 a.m., a vehicle stop involved a red Jeep Cherokee and Rough and Ready Highway at Cedar Drive led to the arrest of 2 people. A Nevada City woman was booked into suspicion of being under the influence and having a syringe. She was being held in lieu of a $1,000 bail. Nevada City man was booked in suspicion of sexual battery, failing to register as a felony sex offender, evading police, having a controlled substance, and violating probation, all felonies. Misdemeanor failure to register after changing his address. He was being held in lieu of a $10,000 bail. At 12:05 p.m., a vehicle stop at Gold Flat Road and Searles Avenue led to the arrest of a Nevada City man on suspicion of driving on suspended license and violating probation. The bail was set at $1,100. 3:13 p.m., deputy booked Citrus Heights woman after arresting her on Broad Street in Nevada City on suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance. She was released on a $1,000 bail. And Sunday, 12:13 a.m., a fight involving 10 to 15 men and a gun was reported on 22,000 block of West Hacienda Drive. An ambulance was requested. At 3:22 a.m., deputies arrested a Grass Valley man on suspicion of violating probation. He was released after posting a $25,000 bail. In Nevada City Police Department on Friday, 9:17 a.m., a woman was from the 500 block of Nimrod Street reported vandalism to her mailbox. At 5:14 p.m., a caller reported a large crowd at a boardwalk on Commercial Street and people were smoking and acting rude to passerbyers. And Sunday, 12:58 a.m., police arrested an Auburn man on 300 block of Broad Street, was booked on suspicion of having a controlled substance, a felony, and evading an officer, driving under the influence, driving on a license suspended after a DUI conviction. Bail was set at $10,000. I guess I have a few new viewers. Well, that's it for the blotter today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. And if you're from Auburn, I guess you don't want to come to Grass Valley. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. In today's local news headlines, murder case moves forward. Feeler held to answer on charges of homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, and vandalism on the death of James Turner. Nevada County Sheriff names new second in command. In a story written by Liz Keller of the Union, homicide suspect Cody Feeler told sheriff deputies he believed his victim, 75-year-old James Turner, was a creep named Tom Valentine who was stealing his thoughts by touching him, and he was defending himself during an assault that eventually killed Turner. Nevada County Deputy Public Defender Kerry Klein sought to bring out the extent of Feeler's delusions leading up to the attack against Turner during a preliminary hearing in Nevada County Superior Court on Thursday. A number of Nevada County Sheriff deputies testified regarding events in the afternoon of February 10, 2011, and unconscious Turner was discovered by his girlfriend that night at the Altazira Airport. Deputy Jason Klinkenbeard testified he had responded to the 911 call from a residence on 18,000 block of Norleen Way near the airstrip about 3 p.m. Homeowner Jim Baralou told him a neighbor he knew as Cody ripped out his address marker twice and was yelling and hitting a solar light in the driveway with a stick before he left. Deputy Brian Condon testified that he had investigated several mailboxes allegedly damaged by Feeler. Both deputies testified they found Feeler at his father's home and he was in a bathtub when they got there. Feeler put some clothes on while in the tub, then turned the shower head on, Klinkenberg said. Feeler's father told the deputies he had no history of mental illness but had been acting increasingly strange over the last week. Eventually, he was taken into protective custody, evaluated by Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital, and placed on a 72-hour mental health hold. Deputies who interviewed Feeler testified he had made statements that rambled, including discussions of hacking into WikiLeaks, frog habitats, different dimensions, and metaphysics. At the hospital, Feeler began pulling tufts of his beard out, which Deputy Jason Mackey testified was pretty disturbing. He told Mackey his girlfriend, Rachel, had been killed by Tom Valentine and believed that she was a clone when Mackey was able to reach her via a cell phone. Was he delusional? Klein asked Mackey, who replied that he seemed more eccentric, acknowledging his conversation was difficult to follow. Feeler described the assault. Feeler told Sergeant Hap Panaluna he had gone to the airport to look for a crystals and had encountered Turner carrying a package that he believed belonged to him. He said that he became frightened when Turner touched him, believing he was a creep sent by the government with a poison pill. Feeler told Penaluma he punched Turner in the face, knocked off his glasses, and caused him to fall to the ground. According to Feeler, he had no effect on Turner, who was goading him, so he kicked him in the chest and grabbed a large piece of wood and threw it at him. Feeler said he then went home, covered himself with hand lotion and gold glitter, and tried to burn his beard off with an aerosol can and a candle. Turner was found on the ground near the airport runway at about 7:15 p.m. suffering from head trauma. He died 12 days later. Feeler was subsequently charged with homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, and vandalism. Assault charges carried special allegations of great bodily injury caused a brain injury and injury to an elderly person. Feeler was initially judged not mentally competent to stand trial and committed to Napa State Hospital, but was restored to competency in December. Forensic pathologist Donald Hendrickson testified Turner died of blunt force cerebrocranial trauma consistent with being struck with a piece of wood, and that his injuries were most likely inflicted by another individual. It would be very difficult to whack yourself in the head, Hendricks said, although he acknowledged the injuries could have been caused by Feeler punching Turner in the face and then throwing the piece of wood at him. Steve Tripp testified to find a blood trail in the area where Turner was attacked and finding blood in several locations in Feeler's residence, including the kitchen sink and the bathroom. He also testified finding a piece of wood believed to have been used in the attack. In her summary, Klein highlighted the 3 hours between the assault and the discovery of the injured victim. We don't know what happened between 4 and 7, she said, suggesting the possibility of an intervening act. She also called the deputies who made the initial response to task for failing to look for a victim at the airport. Klein said Feeler was clearly delusional and had time of the attack, and noted that prosecution must prove malice aforethought in the homicide. Visiting Judge R.M. Smith found sufficient evidence to hold Feeler to answer on all charges, and his arraignment was set for 9 a.m. March 16th. In another Liz Keller story, Nevada County Sheriff's Captain Joe Saliver has been named undersheriff effective Monday. Cream rises to the top, said Sheriff Keith Royal. Joe is a hard worker, very bright, and pleasure to work with. He has great common sense and is well liked by staff. He will be a tremendous addition in this capacity. Salivar, the former administrative captain, will replace former interim Under Sheriff Henry Serrano, who took over when Rich Kimball retired in June 2011. Salivar has been with the sheriff's office for the last 19 years. He started as a reserve deputy in Yuba County in 1992, then moved to Nevada County and went on to perform various functions within the department. The only thing I haven't done is work in the court, Salivar said. I've done almost every assignment in sworn positions. The breadth of experience definitely will stand him in good stead as undersheriff, he acknowledged. It is rare to get the opportunity to have that kind of movement, Salivar said. It's been a really good experience. Salivar started in patrol, then was assigned to be a field training officer. At the time, he became one of the first members of the Special Enforcement Detail, or the NCSO's SWAT team. During his nearly two-decade career in Nevada County, Salivar has served as a firearms training instructor in investigations, personnel, and training in the jail and in Truckee. As undersheriff, Salivar's primary responsibility will be to oversee the department's budget and oversee the 3 divisions. Budget issues are more critical than ever, Salivar said. Things are tight right now for everybody. We're counting every penny as best we can. Salivar, who is married with 2 children, will be sworn in during a ceremony in the near future. And that's it for local news today. Now we'd like to thank the Union, Amy Goodman, Reuters, Associated Press, and others for the sourcing of our news, and especially you for watching. You can watch this broadcast on Comcast Cable, NCTV Channel 11 in Nevada County, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, Suddenlink Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. We also are streamed on internet at NCTV's Digital Media Center website at nevadacountytv.org and GVTV.org. And don't forget Grass Valley Television plays 24/7 on the net at grassvalleytelevision.com. We post to YouTube, blip.tv, and many other podcast sites. We have RSS feed and video podcasts on iTunes. Just search under GVTV News, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. It should be Tuesday.